Space. Wanna go to space?
Oh yeah, this was a big deal. Everybody's all
jazzed up, baby.
Jazzed about this. So I guess we just got to mention it. Celebrities and politicians and it's just like the cool thing. It's got a strange virtue signal aspect to it, and it's also not loading for me. But we are talking about the James Webb Telescope's new views of the cosmos. You may have seen this if you exist on the internet. You've heard people talking about this. Is it loading for you guys?
Yes, it is.
Okay, why don't you take it?
This is from, where's the outlet? New York Times. And the headline here, scientists marvel at NASA Webb Telescope's new views of the cosmos. And I mean, it looks like every space picture we've seen since
That's
like
what got me
1960.
too, man.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like all the other pictures that have been taken.
And it looks like a bunch of lens flare effects from Photoshop. I mean, it does not look.
It just looks like the same things that Hubble has been showing us.
Yeah.
Now, allegedly, this is zoomed in a lot to like a part of the sky that is just like ludicrously far away.
It's like a grain of sand holding it at an arm's length or something.
Right.
Yeah, small.
So they're staring into deep space. One of the notable things that I read, whatever. You'll notice how it's kind of funky, like it's kind of warped. Like all the lens flares of the galaxies are in the same direction. The big bright spot in the middle, they say, is like a collision of two galaxies and exploding.
How do they know any of this?
They have the pictures.
Oh, the pictures. Okay.
Yeah, look, we're looking at them now. Oh, you're looking at the different one. You're looking at the nebula one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry,
this was another one. And something to keep in mind with all these nebula pictures, all the nebula pictures that you see from these telescopes, this is not what you would see with the naked eye. Like if you were floating there in space, you would not see this. These are run through, allegedly, some very particular like sensors. They're sensing different colors through the gases that exist out there. You know, it's a very complicated process. The picture that I kept seeing and was floating around Twitter was literally just the same picture of, you know, it was like the galaxies. Eye of God nebula type thing. No, not even that exciting.
Which one was that?
The least exciting one. I'm trying to find it here for you.
I'm trying to find it too.
Strangely, for some reason, is more. I could not get away from this picture.
And now you can't find it.
And now I cannot find it. So everybody seems to have latched onto the more exciting nebula pictures. Maybe you could just search.
I'm seeing the Southern Ring Nebula. Very similar to what we've seen in the past here. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
One of the problems with the archived version is it takes out some of the images. So
sure. And here's the point. You know, I don't know if what's up. A lot of people have a lot to say about space and trusting NASA and things like that. But the point is the way that who is doing it. Like I should just look it up. I could go down the line of celebrities that were obsessed with this. Like AOC was talking about it. Congratulations, NASA. Science rules. Gosh. It's like, okay, all right. Seriously, you're a politician and this is your thing. It really is a shibboleth, either a shibboleth or a talisman. I'm going to put a picture here and link it for you, Gons.
Science is truth.
Deep space. And, you know, in regards to the science lovers or science deniers or whatever, which are labels that are used against anybody, specifically science deniers, labels that are used against anybody who just simply does not eat the spoon that is in front of them. You know, they're not being anybody who's a narrative skeptic, or not even narrative skeptic, just authority skeptic, questioning authority, to post about this picture, especially as a celebrity or someone who previously gives zero attention to space or whatever. It really is a talisman or a shibboleth or a virtue signal would be the modern phraseology of it. You just say, wow, look at this deep space. It's so magical. It's the coolest thing. Space is awesome. And if you don't think so, you're an anti-vaxxer and you need to go back to your hole and never come out again. That's sort of the subtext of it.
I didn't realize President Joe Biden actually unveiled the picture that you sent me here, the Galaxy Cluster SMAC0723.
Yeah,
it says here President Joe Biden unveiled this image. Like, oh,
right.
Wow.
So that's really the analysis to be looking into here. Whether or not you think the pictures are right or not or whatever, or real or fake. Honestly, that's the least interesting conversation to have about these. The more interesting thing to me is it was unveiled by the President of the United States, Joe Robinette Biden, and was retweeted by AOC. And it much like wearing your mask or taking a selfie with your mask on or showing your arm with your Band-Aid, your Vax Band-Aid or whatever, it is simply an opportunity to identify yourself as this matters to me. This matters very much to me. And if this doesn't matter to you, then you're some sort of unvaccinated animal. You talk about the religion of scientism, where speaking the language, doing your Hail Marys, doing your whatever, using the right terms, so you know who's in and who's out and who's orthodox and who's not orthodox and who's clean and unclean and who to shun, et cetera, et cetera. That is what these pictures are being used for, whether or not that was like the intent or not. But it very much is weird, because you'd think, who would care about the deep space mysteries of space and the reality, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of a stonery kind of Joe Rogan thing, honestly, or a nerdy type of thinker thing. But to have Joe Biden and AOC using it as some sort of badge is just really gross. Yeah, some kind of signaling that you belong to the scientism network state. Yeah. But yeah, I think a part of this, and sure, the discussion about is space real or not is always, I wouldn't dismiss it. I think it's fun. Yeah. It's fun. But yeah, like you said, the more pressing issue, the more important thing here is the sort of virtue signaling. And I in the context of what we've been talking about with this whole divide and conquer and giving the opposition, the rebel force, if you will, the uprising, the organic pushers back of the system type of people. I don't know, libertarians, whatever you want to call them, conservatism or whatever. Those people, this is a great way to trigger those folks, to identify them. Like if you're thinking of it from the view of the progressive liberal mindset or whatever, you can say, oh, we got to separate the tares from the wheat. And again, from their perspective, the tares being like Christians who are anti-science, right? Right. We have to identify them. How do we do that? Well, we do something like this. And everybody who's arguing against the narrative are just labeled, oh, you've identified yourself as this crazy right-wing anti-vax, like you said, anti-vax. And you're weaponized as being part of that group. The same people that knocked over the Georgia Guidestones. That's you evil Republicans or whatever, whatever. Right. So yes, I see that very much as part of and election year, keeping that in mind. And another part of it that strikes me now, and I realize has identified in me another part of my own sort of process, has been, this is definitely the type of thing that I would have gotten super stoked about. Years ago. Younger. Yeah. Years ago, I would be the one being like, oh my gosh, this new picture, look at this. And I'd show it to somebody and they'd be like, okay, it's a bunch of blurs and blah, blah, blah. And like cool kids, they don't get it. They're like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I'm like, no, you don't get it. That's so far away. That picture is like equivalent of holding a grain of sand at arm's length and looking up into the sky. That's how far away it is. And, I would be sort of there's so many more important things going on in the world to care about. That was the other point I was going to make, was that
by having the president do this, it puts into context this sort of like cosmological perspective on.
You think your gas prices are too high?
Right,
you
right,
think
right.
sending $60 billion to Ukraine for no reason is too much? Oh, I have a literal 94% disapproval rating with voters, Democratic voters 30 and under. None of that matters because look at all these shiny blurs.
Billions of galaxies out there.
Yeah, it's actually very much a conservative mindset. If you think about it, if you think about it structurally, it's a conservative mindset, which makes it much more interesting to have. Because, the example would be for someone who is eternally minded to say, you know what? Yeah, things are really bad on Earth right now. And man, they've always been bad, and they might be especially bad now, but God is good and eternity is forever, and things of this earth are passing away, and that, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing. I don't mean to blah, 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 but you know what I mean.
Right.
So that whole idea of like, look bigger is it really very much a conservative mindset. And so to have Joe Biden and AOC and all these blue check marks obsessing over this as if they want you talk about distractions. Don't pay attention to the gas prices. Don't pay attention to the food crisis. Don't pay attention to our totally ludicrous president
destroying the country and the people. Don't pay attention to that. We got galaxies out there. We got other people.
The metaphor of like looking for distractions, and they finally find one where they're like, no, don't just look over there. Look as far over there as is humanly possible. This is how far away they need us to pay attention, to distract us from the things happening right in front of us. It is no longer good enough to complain about China
some
or to complain
ethereal
about. You must
location, quote unquote, in the cosmos.
Set your mind on the infinite vastness of nothingness, the furthest distance that humans have ever been able to peer. Please don't look at the video of me crashing my bike.
Don't look at the video of my son.
Weighing out crack with a prostitute. Don't look at any of that.
Timing-wise, this is really interesting,
Literally,
what if that was the backroom convo? Oh, we gotta distract everybody from Hunter Biden videos. What do we do?
Absolutely is. Cast your attention as far away as humanly conceivable. You're not even able to conceive of how far away this is. That's how
so
far
good.
away I want you to be looking instead of looking at the videos of Hunter Biden weighing crack next to a prostitute. I mean, that's the real story here, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about the political aspect of this, we have the New Yorker here, and I was upset that this was satire because I was like, this is so good.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But also I was kind of like, wow, it's very weak for satire. So here we go. This is New Yorker here.
This is the New Yorker. By the way, just real quick, I want to let you loose on this, but people need to know, they need to keep in mind, when we say the New Yorker, it's the New Yorker. The artsy, fartsy, elite, liberal, rich, white, like the most disgusting outlet you could possibly imagine in the context of our modern world, taking themselves way too seriously, pretentiousness coming out of their ears, the most ludicrous outlet to be trying to post satire, even though they do their cartoons. They've always tried to do, even their cartoons are pretentious. And then they post this as satire.
Marjorie Taylor Greene accuses James Webb Telescope of making other galaxies available to Jewish lasers.
The amount, the depth, the pure depth of unfunny that headline is, I will say, the concept is funny.
I know. Yeah. It was probably funny in his head, and then he wrote it.
The headline is 4 lines of headline to try to make this joke. They are just unfunny people.
Well,
okay,
let's give him a chance. Okay, here we go. Washington. Remember, this is satire. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has accused NASA's James Webb Telescope of finding new galaxies for Jewish space lasers to destroy. Quote, "It's bad enough that the Rothschilds' lasers are wreaking havoc on our solar system," the Georgia Congresswoman told reporters. Quote,
"What?
Now, thanks to the so-called Webb telescope, no corner of the universe will be safe from the international banking family's ravaging space beams," end quote.
Okay. Ravaging international banking families ravaging space beams is okay.
It's funny, but also kind of true there, buddy. There's
keep
some
going.
space
Finish it out. Finish it out.
Illegal. Declaring her solidarity with, quote, "all galactic victims of interstellar Hebraic weaponry." That's pretty funny.
Somebody found a thesaurus over there
exactly.
at the New Yorker.
Green proposed defunding NASA unless it, quote, "stops doing the bidding of the Jewish laser cartel." Okay, starting to wear thin here. Quote, "I stand with the people of Carina Nebula," she said. "I too am from another planet."
That's the punchline.
End of satire.
The punchline of the article is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is what? An alien?
That's from another planet.
That's the punchline of the satire. Now, we read this just so you also suffer with us as we had to read this. And in the context of who this outlet is and precisely the sort of infinite depth of unfunny that this satire achieved.
Yeah.
I want to bring to everyone's attention the idea, the meme, the cultural touchstone of a phrase called "the left can't meme." Gons, I gave you a little rundown of this, but before I did, you had not heard really of this. I mean, maybe you heard it. But
I heard of it. I don't know the extent of it, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. So this phrase, "the left can't meme." If you're a meme lord like myself, or an aspiring meme lord, more of a meme dilettante like myself, you'll be aware of this. The left can't meme. And it really is just a statement of fact that the left, they cannot meme. They cannot make funny online content. Perhaps you've seen a meme berating Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene or something, and it's never funny. And look, I like to think of myself as someone who can not only laugh at myself, but laugh at, the things that I hold to be true or believe, or it's just things I identify with, you know?
Yeah.
I follow some Christian meme pages too that sometimes may go a little far, but hey, it's funny is funny. Right. In my book, I know not everybody agrees with me, but funny is funny.
Jokes are equitable.
Yeah. Even if it's at your expense, you gotta recognize.
Gotta make fun of everybody. Yeah.
But the left can't meme. And here's a great resource for you, Gons, and for anybody else who ever finds a meme that they don't understand or would like to know more about meme culture, which you should because it rules your life, whether you know it or not. There's a website called knowyourmeme.com. knowyourmeme.com. And it's really this academic resource where they track down memes, they explain memes, they track down the original creators, they track down the original posts. They really do some online, some super sleuthing. I mean, real, what's the word?
Journalism.
It's like that too. Yeah, totally.
Rundown.
No, like a crime show, and they're doing forensics.
Montage?
They really do some online forensics.
Okay.
Montage.
Yeah.
That's funny. Know your meme. So here it is. The left can't meme on Know Your Meme. About the left can't meme is an expression typically used to criticize the political memes created by left-leaning internet users as unfunny or cringeworthy. It is believed to have been created on /poll/ that's a Reddit thing, I think, and rose to prominence during the 2016 United States presidential election. Origin, one of the earliest mentions of the phrase, appeared on /poll. Oh, this is a 4chan thing. On August 22nd, 2016, from an anonymous user shown below. And it has, like I said, they really do the forensics. They found the very first time that the left can't meme showed up on the internet as a phrase that was ever typed in. Then it tells like how it spread, and it's obvious how it spread. But here's an interesting just kind of breakdown. This is just a little scholarly read for some people. There have also been several blog posts and posts on conservative subreddits theorizing as to why the left can't meme. User ZonePepe on /r/the Donald posited that the reason is, here's the reason the left can't meme. 1, that because the left is by default politically correct and thus must often hide the truth, they have close to zero ability to use memes as impactful or spicy propaganda to sway public opinion /perception. 2, this PC mentality does two things. A, weakens their memes, forcing contrived, blunted memes, which pale in comparison to the hard, sharp truth the right memes peddle. B, allows for a situation where the right is able to trigger /traumatize people into swaying their opinion by revealing forbidden but often instinct or human natured based truths. And I thought this was pretty interesting because really a good meme is savage. You know, it tells a truth in a funny way. It's like
comedy, stand-up comedy. It
is like what comedians aren't, what comedians are not allowed to do anymore, which is hurt people.
Yeah.
Is what memes are still allowed to do, mainly because it's anonymous. And that's kind of what we see in the New Yorker here, trying to work on this meme. And the idea of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about Jewish space lasers is a meme in its most academic sense, in that it's like a joke that they're trying to install into the operating system of everybody.
Right.
But when they try to do this satire and parody, it falls so flat because it's not true. Marjorie Taylor Greene never said the words Jewish space lasers.
Yeah.
She never did any of this. She never talked about any of this. It's an entirely contrived and invented piece of propaganda by the left to harm Marjorie Taylor Greene. Whether she deserves it or not is not up to me. And so when they try to expound upon their own simple meme, it falls absolutely flat because they're like trying to make a joke about something that isn't true in the first place. And I don't know how valuable this is, but I think the academic observation of meme culture has so much to offer someone as they try to understand the way that they are being communicated to on a daily basis, possibly thousands of times a day, is a very valuable thing. And I recommend everybody try their hardest to understand how meme culture shapes society right now. And also how the left can't meme, and how and why exactly why they are losing their grip on popular culture. We've been watching it happen. The pendulum is swinging right so fast. Yeah. And yes, part of it is politically because of political failures. But the other part of it is because they just simply cannot tell a joke if their life depended on it. And I think that has a sort of hidden magic, if you will, that is more effective coming from the right.
But if you kind of think about the psyop aspect of this, and my dog really needs to go to the restroom.
It's just about that time.
It's about that time. If you really think about it, the entire rise of the progressive movement and the left and all that, it was because it was built on so many lies upon lies. It was perfect for right-wing conservatism to come in at a grassroots kind of level,
Right.
and take upon, or I guess pick up the cultural influence when it comes to like they're able to have that influence because they're in that political position. What I'm trying to, I guess, warn or kind of have the foresight is just pay attention to when the liberals start actually making solid points again, liberal, lefty, whatever, because then you'll notice that the culture will be, the PC culture will be right. And so to fight against any lies that are, because they will, the right wing Republican, they're going to tell lies too, to call those out, you will see the left rise again. So it's a pendulum, like it is and always pendulum swinging.
I think, and I think this is a big part of it, and it goes into what you're saying here, is it depends who's holding authority at the time.
Right.
Because what they're trying to do here at the New Yorker, this sort of bastion of liberal journalism, is they're trying to do the Babylon Bee. They're trying to be Babylon Bee.
Right.
And what works for the Babylon Bee is they're not the power structure. They're not the authority. They're not the old world ruling class's favorite comedic
They're speaking for the majority, the quiet majority, as they called it, in the old Trump era.
And as the pendulum swings right and the conservatives gain more and more power and become the institution, because that's the big criticism of the left now is you used to be anti-authority.
Yeah.
The
30
60s,
years ago,
70s,
being a Democrat would have been kind of like being a Republican now. It was the counterculture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're counterculture, you're anti-authority, you're anti-war, you're anti-everything. And now the Democrats represent what the Republicans were in the 60s and 70s or whatever.
Right.
And that's why it works. That's why it doesn't work. Because the establishment making jokes about
the rebels,
the anti-establishment people.
It's like Darth Vader trying to make a joke about Luke Skywalker.
Exactly. That's just called propaganda.
Son. Yeah, it's
that's
propaganda.
Punching down. That's propaganda. That's not even funny.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it's the weirdo anti-establishment outlet or person punching up at the establishment, then it's funny. Then it stings. Then it means something. Then it can influence culture. Then it's memes. Then you meme very well. But the fact that it's the New Yorker punching down at an already sort of silly character that is created I'm talking about the mass media character of Marjorie Taylor Greene,
right,
is already like silly. So you're just saying untrue, silly things about an untrue, silly character that you invented, punching down at an anti-establishment person as you stand on your literal marble pillar as people worship you, the New Yorker.
Yeah. Plus the, if you're really looking at the factual stuff behind all of this, we just went through a whole hour at the top of the show talking about all these countries showing their lasers.
Yeah.
Including lifelike lasers. Mm-hmm. And here's Andy Borowitz for the New Yorker saying like, Jewish lasers. Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks there's lasers. It's like, dude, have you not looked at the headlines?
Space lasers.
There's lasers everywhere. So anyway.
So there you go. This is fun. This is a little different way to end the show, but I'm glad we did it.